a mile. It's a 9th Royal Ascot win in total. There's Tim Gredley on the left, his wife Rachel leading in the win. I hope Bill is here too, Dad. Famous colours these, as you say, slim down operation these days, Jason, but still winning on the big stage. A bell celebration. Ding dong. Well done, Michael. The Golden Gates, won by Burdett Road, yet another big prize winner. It has been really tough this to find winners over the last few days. 20-1 the winner. Lion of War and Local Dynasty went off co-favourites at 9-2 in second and third. It's been a difficult week for the Godolphin team. Have Secret was fourth at 25-1. He can talk, Neil Callan. He started the meeting talking, and he's finishing it that way.
Yeah, look, he's super confident, and you know when you're batting your own corner, you go back into that weighing room. It's a one-man band. You know, you're freelance. You're on your own. You've got to be super confident, super competitive. He thinks about it. He's aggressive, and people like that.
He also had to, you know, come back to England and really try and get back in with old connections, and he had to work hard for that. I must, although I don't want to give too many agents shout-outs, I must give his agent, Steve Croft, a shout-out, who's worked incredibly hard.
Agents work hard, apparently, I'm told.
Apparently so,
just
yeah.
1 second, Meg, as we just see Frankie walking in. Tim Gredley's a great mate of his who gave him a hug, the winning owner. Everyone's trying to get their picture of Frankie. Hopefully he'll come out and join us to reminisce about his time here at the Royal Meeting. Go on, Meg.
No, sorry, I was just saying, you know, it's a massive team effort for Neil to come back and be doing so well, competing, you know, Group 1 winner already this week, now a handicap winner for loads of different trainers he's riding for. It's a huge team effort, and Steve Croft does deserve a big shout-out. He has Ross O'Ryan, Jack Mitchell on his books as well, and they've all been winning.
I think his wife, Trish, deserves a big shout-out because she is the most long-suffering wife I've ever come across, because they've got 4 children. They moved back to Newmarket not that long ago. They redid their house. Neil disappeared to Bahrain for most of the winter. She was living in a camper van essentially with 4 pretty grown-up boys, and she looks after a stable of I think about 8 horses all on her own as well. So she's a trooper, and Neil is just a great character and a great jockey.
And that is Tasha Taylor on the right there, the winning groom. And you have to feel, because we're going to lose Canute from the race so sadly, you have to feel for Wieslaw, who led up Canute today. It can be a tough game this at times. Matt.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ed. A 9th Royal Ascot success for the man we like to call Ding Dong, and the bell doth toll for you today. That was terrific.
Yeah, good performance. He loved that fast ground when he won at Newbury last time, so we were hopeful that he'd be effective on it today, and just obviously it was a much deeper race, but we hadn't done much with him since Newbury, but he's a very good-looking horse, bred by the Gredleys, who we've been lucky for, so delighted.
And your biggest success in many ways since Big Orange back here. These colours have been so lucky for you.
They have, and they've been great breeders for many years, and Bill's not here today, but he'll be absolutely thrilled to bits, I'm sure, watching at home. He was out on the gallops this morning, but he was here on Thursday. But Tim's here, and so it's great for them, and I think Tim's riding at Hickstead tomorrow, so they're busy bees.
And great for your yard, Michael, because you're a Derby-winning trainer. You've trained some of the best in the business, but we know how hard it is for everyone to get a winner here this week. You only have to look at Godolphin, nothing.
It's very hard. I mean, the most difficult bit about training, when you've been doing as long as me, when you obviously clearly can do the job with the results we've had, it's getting the well-bred horses to walk through the door, and you can't train fresh air, so we're lucky we've got the Gredleys and many other nice horses, but it is a tough old business, but we're lucky to have what we have, and very grateful we've had another winner here.
Job done today. Well done, Ding Dong.
Thank you.
About Chris Hughes. Now
for the second time this week, I'm joined by James Given, Director of Equine Health and Welfare for the BHA. James, we're in the cooling off area. We're very used to seeing horses with buckets of water thrown over them when where their saddles come off. Why is this area so important, and what do the fans do?
Well, the horses, the track's just over there. It's a great place to have it. It's close to when they come off the track. They come here. If the sun's out, this tree offers a great shade. That helps keep them cool. Buckets and buckets of water and these cooling fans. When the horses are exercising, like in us, when you're working your muscles, it produces heat. They've got bigger muscles, they produce a lot of heat, and that heat has to be transported to the skin by the blood, and then that then cools by evaporation with sweating and so on. But we help that process by getting cold water onto them and helping the evaporation, which helps cool the horses.
From a very basic point of view, where did the fans originate from? Where did that idea come from, and how did it come into fruition here?
Well, certainly, I think some of this work started with proper scientific work for the Atlanta Olympic Games in '96. Oh, okay. It's very warm and humid in Atlanta, and they're concerned about the horses' welfare there. And so this idea of these misting fans, I think, originated there, and they've been rolled out for all sorts of equestrian sports, not just racing, but racing has obviously used this knowledge, and we see these fans here and other race courses right around the world.
I know the temperatures last year, they were absolutely scorching here at Ascot. You know, we were degrees in the 30s then. It's a little bit cooler today in comparison to that, but it's still very warm. Are there any plans to introduce these fans to other race courses going forward? I know we have them at Royal Ascot, but are there any other plans, just for the smaller meetings as such?
Yeah, a lot of race courses have them already. We had them at Goodwood the other weekend when I was there. They're at York. Plenty of race courses have them, and they will be rolled out as the race courses, get the space to put them in.
Okay, and let's just shed a light as well on the grooms. We like to do that here on ITV Racing. They're the unsung heroes of the sport. How important are the grooms with what they do? You know, we see their work. A lot of it happens, and it doesn't always get seen on cameras or picked up by race cars. They're massively important.
They're a very professional team of people. They, really know the horses, care for the horses. They bring the horses here. Some horses will have come yesterday and stayed overnight if they've got further to go. They'll all had probably 2 or 3 showers already. They've been cooled down all the way. They'll have been cooled down before they're brought up here. They arrive in the parade ring in this spot-on health and way of being, so they can get into the race course and in the best way. They're cooled, they're with buckets of water beforehand, so it's not just after racing that their welfare is being attended to, it's attended to throughout the process, so we put the minimum stress on the horses.
And finally, just on the welfare, everything been plain sailing, smooth, good results this week?
Yep, touch wood, so far so good. All the who's that came down Laurie's ramps have gone back up those ramps, so they've all gone home, so that's a great result so far this week.
Say, just like any big race win or any race winner at all at Royal Ascot, that is a result for racing fans, for everybody involved, and for the welfare of the animals. That's as good a success as any. Thanks for joining me again, James. Keep up the good work, and you're a good man.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Speaks very well, James, and he used to be a trainer himself. Here is the champion trainer at Royal Ascot for 2023 with wife Anne-Marie. Once again, it is Aidan O'Brien with 4 winners to his name, level with John Gosden, who will beat him on countback with the places. And John Gosden hasn't got a runner in the last. So once more, Aidan O'Brien is the champion trainer for a 12th time. 12 titles at Royal Ascot.
For him, and well done to the boys as well. Donica got on the score sheet, and just typical, isn't it? Your big brother, not to be outdone, goes in and gets the next winner on the board as well. But on that day, a double for the boys. Fantastic.
And I'm in pains also to congratulate, because I think he's been sensational all season, really, Ryan Moore, because Frankie's got all the headlines all week, and we're going to talk to him now for obvious reasons, because he's bowing out from Royal Ascot, and hopefully he's going to come out and see us. But we must give credit to Ryan Moore. He's been brilliant this week once again, hasn't he? Just makes it look so easy.
He does, and it's not just this week, it is all the time, and he's so consistent. That's partly why he is the best in the world, in my opinion. I mean, winner after winner after winner.
Yeah, and we'll see him crowned shortly. We're also going to be on ITV4 all the way through to the end. We'll speak to Frankie. We've got one more live race to come as well, with all the prize giving and so on and so forth. So we know the champion owners are Coolmore, and that was sad for them in the last race. We know that top trainer is Aidan O'Brien once again, and once again Ryan Moore will be crowned top jockey. And then we must talk about highlights of the week. What's your highlight of the entire week, Francesca?
Good question. There have been so many. I think it would have to be the Royal winner, obviously, because not only was it great for them and to have a winner, but the wider significance of it. First time the new King and Queen have been present at Ascot this week, and they had a few chances, not a huge amount, and it was Desert Hero in the hands of Tom Marquand who delivered in a super exciting finish.
We're just gliding around the racecourse here, which had over 68,000 people here today. From Thursday, the right-hand side of the racecourse opens up, the heath and the village away to the right, and we're about to be joined by ITV4 viewers. If you enjoyed the racing, you want to hear from Frankie and see the final race, ITV4 is where you'll need to be. Welcome everyone watching on ITV4. Great to have you on board with one live race to come, the Frankie Farewell. If you're watching us still on ITV1, we'll be leaving you shortly, so hopefully you can join us on ITV1 to enjoy the rest of Royal Ascot 2023. Let's rewind the clock. It seems like quite a long time ago. The Chesham was won by Gavin Cromwell.
Yeah, and a really tough performance from the filly Snellen, who quick and clear and then sort of wandered around a little bit under pressure, but she was tough nonetheless. Really exciting for the team, who aren't necessarily flooded with Royal Ascot runners, never mind winners.
Yeah, and it was Gary, very honest in his opinion. The scales where they weigh back in are just over to our left-hand side, and he was obviously incredibly thirsty straight after, and I threw him a bottle of water after he'd weighed in just here, and he said, I would have got slaughtered, he said, if I got beaten. I said, why? And that just goes to show you the professionalism of the guys. He said, oh, I kept going right-handed and she went that way at Limerick, but as we saw from the head on, from analysis, both jockeys went out, and had one gone straight, it could have been a different story.
We moved on to the Jersey, which is one thing we haven't needed in the heat this week, and this is actually the race that gives Aidan O'Brien the trainer's title with his second string, Meg.
Ryan Moore was on the wrong one in this race, but Age of Kings was right up there with the pace. I think that was important. We did have a couple of horses trying to close from further back. They weren't able to get there. Age of Kings, in my opinion, had the run of the race.
Yeah, and look, what was he, second behind Blackbeard last year was probably his best return run in the Irish 2000 behind Paddington. Wayne Lorden, talk about having the right man on your side when you need supposed your second rider. He's a great man in the saddle.
We must give credit, Francesca, to the Gosdens. Aidan O'Brien's gone away with the title, but they've had 4 winners as well. They've had a terrific week, haven't they?
They have, and I think the performance that really stands out is Courage Mon Ami in the Gold Cup, because he'd run, 3 times coming into the race. He was undefeated, but he was stepping up both in trip and in grade. He'd only been sold the week going into the race from the Oppenheimers to Wathnan Racing, and I think to get a horse ready to run that kind of extreme trip on a day like this at Royal Ascot, stepping up in grade so significantly, on only his 4th start, that is a phenomenal training performance.
Brave horse as well.
Yeah,
really
very much so. Yeah.
And it was quite a scene after the Gold Cup. Right, in a few moments' time, it's ITV4 where you'll need to go. We'll review the big race of the day, the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes, the amazing performance from Pile Driver in the Hardwick. We've still got the Ascot Stakes to come, and the big farewell, or the Queen Alexandra Stakes, I should say, and the big farewell to Frankie Dettori, sweeping over us across to the Queen Anne enclosure and the bandstand. If you're on ITV1, we hopefully see you in just a tick over on ITV4. So it's ITV4 all the way through to 6:30 this evening. Lovely to have your company at a sun-soaked, still very warm Ascot with one live race still to come. Shall we look back on the big race of the day? The Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes. The winner, Megan, 80-1. The biggest prize winner of this race ever. What a performance from Carden. Where did this come from?
I mean, can you believe none of us picked it?
Yes.
80-1.
Yes.
Honestly, it was an amazing performance. A Jamie Spencer special, dropped in, and they really got the win that they needed. And after last year, when there was the unseat in the King's Stand and all the drama with him in the stalls, the fact that he's repaid them with a smooth victory, I think the horse owed Connections that more than anything.
Well, the thing is, he was 80-1 for a reason, wasn't he? Because compared to a lot of the horses he was taking on, his form, he needed to improve on what he'd been showing recently. And I'm sure the ride had a big bit to pay.
And we've given him credit, Ryan and Frankie, and they've given us a brilliant show. well be him having a little walkout at the moment. But Jamie Spencer to ride 2 winners on the card at 80 to 1 and 50 to 1. That takes some doing. There we go. Look at that man.
Wonder where he's going. That's Pete Burrell on the near side. He looks after him. It's going to be ahead of time if he's coming to see us, but we might as well take him while we've got him. There's only one Frankie Dettori rings round Ascot.
Got changed quick, hasn't he?
How cool is this?
Too tight to drive.
Hey, Frankie.
Hi.
Come and join us.
I'll enjoy it.
How are you feeling?
Tired.
Emotional?
No, not too. I'll be honest, because I'm too tired to cry. But I've been flat out really. This morning, it's great to go to Windsor Castle, and well, I didn't have lunch. I watched people having lunch, and with the King and the Queen, and then the royal procession being in the carriage was. Amazing thing, one of the best thing I ever done.
Really?
To watch the crowd from the procession is unbelievable, and the cheers for the King and the Queen throughout the whole way from Windsor Castle to here was incredible. The love that people have for the royals, children with flags and banners, amazing. And then I got here and I rode
just going back on that for a second, because there was a lot of love for you as well.
Yeah. Oh,
you
yes.
came on the screen, everyone was cheering. You have to sit on your hands a bit.
I did.
You can't wave, can you?
I was told that I wasn't allowed to, so and I found it really difficult. But it was great, and then I got here, got changed, and I rode 5 races back to back. Some disappointments, but overall I enjoyed. I didn't have time to reflect of any emotions because I was so busy, and I'm of course I'm a little bit sad, but I've had a really good run at it, and it probably will hit me tomorrow.
And Frankie, you came into the week saying you wanted to hit that nice round number of 80,
Yes.
which you did, and you went past it.
Yes.
Couldn't have gone really much better.
And I'm pleased that I'm going to finish my Royal Ascot in front of Ryan Moore.
Yeah.
Because next year will pass me. So to finish in the...
Some way behind Piggott, though.
Yeah, I know, yes. Second behind Leicester Piggott, that is honour. And amazing. Yeah, I probably will cry tomorrow. At the moment, I'm too tired for it.
This is your week.
Yeah.
Just enjoy watching these pictures, Frankie.
Gold Cup, amazing. This is my 80th, another amazing.
And there was more to come.
That's 81, my last one. Oh, somebody's sleeping. Amazing.
How was it in the room this week?
In the room was, like I was very busy actually every day, and obviously the attention of me stopping, I was getting pulled left, right, and centre a little bit. And actually, in fairness, that was good because at least it kept my mind off not sulking too much or get too emotional. But overall, I mean, it's gone like a flash, really. 5 days just flown by.
And I know this is the last Royal Ascot, but by no means is it the last time we're going to see you on the racecourse because you're riding throughout the season.
Exactly,
and then
4 months.
The tour continues abroad as well, doesn't it, after the English season?
Well, obviously, of course, Breeders' Cup, America, Hong Kong, so a few things to do, and one step
Melbourne
at a time
Cup?
now, and we finish off the season, and so much to look forward to.
No Melbourne Cup, Frankie?
Yes, Melbourne Cup. Yeah, we're going to Australia after the Breeders' Cup, so I am pretty busy.
You're going to be busy now because we want to go down the years with you. I don't know what your commitments are like over the next few minutes because we have still got a race to come as well, which you're not riding in. Will you need to go? Do you want to go down memory lane now, or do you want to wait a bit?
Well, we can go down memory lane because I think my wife's presented the trophy for the last race.
After the last race, yeah.
So that's.
Do you want to go down memory lane now?
Yeah, go on. Let's do it.
Talk us through.
Oh God. Yes.
What's your favourite Royal Ascot memory of all time?
It's very hard to, obviously. I would say when I won the first 4 races in 2019, when I hit the front of the...
Too early.
When I hit the front too early, I thought the grandstand was going to go down. The roar was incredible. But overall, yeah, this one was a great moment as well.
I listened. One of the best interviews I've ever heard you do was with Gabriel for ITV from years ago, and you talked about your emotions then, and Ray Cochrane.
Yeah.
When you think none of this would happen without him and the plane crash and the lows you've had, and you'd never have thought you were going to be here experiencing this.
It's funny because when I walked into their room today, I thought I was 16 again. And when we are in the weight room, it's like a timeless place. You never feel old. And still when I walked in there today, I thought I was 16.
And the people have really enjoyed you for so many years, but this place has always just been that little bit extra for you.
Yeah, of course. The record speaks to themselves. I don't stand here tell you everything that I won here, but it's been a lucky place for me. I rode some phenomenal horses for some great owners and great trainers, and I've been very lucky, very, very lucky that I've had the support, and this place has been lucky for me.
Did you slow down a bit walking in today? Little moment, little breather, because in the past sometimes everybody's always wanting a piece of you.
Actually, in a way, of course, I wanted to win, but maybe it was a good thing that I didn't win, because I don't think I would have handled or Razzmatazz that what it would have been if I won the last. So I was able to walk back and be more relaxed, and spoke to Max and Charlie, and they said the bad luck, it wasn't the fairy tale ending that you wanted, but nevertheless I'm able to speak to you here, and I've had a great week with all my family. I'll enjoy this beautiful weather, this beautiful track.
Frankie, thank you so much for coming over. Really good of you. Enjoy the presentation and the crowd giving you an almighty send-off.
Thank you.
For everything you've done at the Royal Meeting, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we still have one more race to come, and the Frankie farewell. Don't spray the big bottle of champagne, Frankie. It would be my advice. And we've still got the Queen Alexandra and a warm favourite when we come back.
Can't beat him, the internationals can't beat him. Fortress Golden 60.
Pilwangata, Russian conquest the outside. Pilwangata.
Artorius is bursting home late. Artorius! And Militarized blows them away. But it's in secret clear. In secret won it.
Wrap on Royal Ascot for 2023. The Aussies came, and whilst we didn't conquer, we were brave in defeat, particularly Artorius and the astrologist, both of whom's connections have said they're so pleased with how their respective runners handled the trip and also their races. Of course, Artorius set to return to Australia and stand at Newgate Stud, and the astrologist, I had a chat to Troy Corstens and the team, and they just couldn't be happier with their galloper. He's just been so honest. He did it really tough out in front, and he went on with it. In regards to Cannonball, who backed up from Saturday, just having a chat to a couple of people and watching the steward's vision, it looks like he's actually stood flat-footed and been held on perhaps by a barrier attendant, and then he's jumped up in the air and almost taken out Danny Tudhope's head, who's then fallen to the ground, and he's run the race riderless. So Cannonball, nothing really went to plan for him, but being a 3-year-old, there's nothing to suggest that we couldn't see him back here in the future, as well as many Aussie connections back here. You can't keep us away. It's been a wonderful week, and thank you for joining us on the coverage.
want a word with the man who's bowing out from Royal Ascot. 81 winners and out, and there'll be a presentation involving his wife after the last race.
And that last race is the Queen Alexandra, the longest race, not just of Royal Ascot, but in the flat calendar. 2 miles, 5.5 furlongs. They're headed by number 1, Stratum, who's bidding for a hat-trick in the race. Down to William Buick, 4, Willie Mullins, 2, Coltor, Jason Hart, 3, Dawn Rising, Ryan Moore, 4, Esther Cass for Billy Loughnane, and 5, Falcon, 8, Tom Marquand, 6, Goshen Doesn't Run, 7, Run for Oscar, Jim Crowley, 8, The Grand Vizier, Richard Kingscote, 9, First Emperor, Kieran Fallon, 10, Typewriter, Oisin Murphy. 9 runners, and Brian, I imagine the betting ring for the Getting Out Stakes with some of the connections here could be very lively indeed.
Absolutely, Richard. We've yet to have a winning favourite, only 6 favourites and a giant favourite from 34 races, 11 Irish winners so far, but the Irish trained horses dominate the market. Dawn Rising for Joseph O'Brien, Bottle 2-1 from 3-1. Run for Oscar for the Limerick man, Charles Burns, 7-2. Stratum, bidding to win the race for the 3rd consecutive year, is 9-2, and it's 17-2 the Grand Visor. But the professionals, they want to be on Dawn Rising. It's the Getting Out Stakes. Dawn Rising, if this doesn't run, we will be running for Oscar.
Just had the vet just having a double check on First Emperor here, and obviously happy with what they see. This horse looks like it's going to be loaded now. They're getting ready to go here. Dawn Rising, I will say, just got very warm. It is very warm, but he is sweating quite profusely. He is by Galileo though, and that is a normal trait for them.
And he is very well fancied. The 2-1 favourite. Will he win, Megan?
Yeah, I think he will. He's unexposed as a stayer. Thought it was a pretty nice return on the flat at Leopardstown last time. It looks like this has been mapped out as the plan.
Stratum a big price, given he's won it the last 2 years?
Yeah, huge price, isn't he, going for the treble? I mean, Run for Oscar, the last time we saw him on the flat, he won on the bridle in the Cesarovic. Has to be a player, but could it be Stratum for the hat-trick?
Race number 35 of the week. Richard.
Thanks, Ed. Trying to have some fun with this one. The Queen Alexandra Stakes, 2 miles, 5.5 furlongs. And the 9 runners leave the stalls. Typewriter was a little slow to get set, and in the early stages, Esther Cass, one of the outsiders, was one of the first to show. Ryan Moore's keeping Dawn Rising well away from the other runners, a Frankie Dettori tactic, maybe in his honour, as Dawn Rising is just gradually edging over. So Le Grand Vizier and also Coltor settled down well to the fore. Just behind these, on the inside, we have First Emperor, as Dawn Rising continues just to saunter over. The blue and white colours belong to Stratum, as they make their way up the home straight. Towards the inside, Esther Cass is now no better than midfield, and early on, Typewriter tracks Falcon 8. And the very pale colours of Run for Oscar, as they continue what is just about the full extent of the straight course. So they can take their time. You can see just passing the 5 furlong marker, and it's Coltor who has the lead. Dawn Rising has gradually just moved closer. The end result looks as if he's going to end up sitting in 2nd place on the outside of First Emperor in 3rd. The Grand Vizier, out-and-out stayer, is in 4th place with Stratum, the dual winner of this race, on the outside of Esther Cass as they make their way up the straight. Falcon 8 with the Run for Oscar, and still at the back, Typewriter. So making their way round that final bend, they'll be taking in a circuit's time. Coltor out in the lead for Jason Hart, one of the outsiders. Dawn Rising, by contrast, the market leader, sitting in 2nd place. Keep an eye on those sectionals. It's been pretty steadily run to this point. We're pushing 14-second furlongs. They'll get faster once they run downhill, irrespective of any increase in the pace, but it's just so more steady early on. In 3rd place on the inside, races First Emperor. The Grand Vizier is on the outside of Esther Cass. Stratum settles in 6th place. A Run for Oscar, Falcon 8. And Typewriter. Always now the biggest crowds of the week on Saturday, particularly in the enclosures down the racecourse. They've had weather all week to really enjoy. Some top quality racing, and one more chance of a winner. As out in the lead, Coltor leads Dawn Rising as they turn away from the stands. Begin to run downhill with First Emperor on the inside. Grand Vizier still sitting quietly enough in 4th place, and all of the riders appear pretty happy with their positions. No sign of anyone looking to change them at the moment, with Esther Cass racing in 5th place. Stratum is in 6th. Run for Oscar, Falcon 8. And last of all is Typewriter. So passing the 1.5 mile start, we're back there for the King George in just over a month's time. It's Coltor who leads them inside the final 1.5 miles. Dawn Rising sits in 2nd place, just in 3rd First Emperor with Le Grand Vizier. Esther Cass, Stratum under William Buick. In 6th place, just ahead of Run for Oscar and Jim Crowley. Last two, Falcon 8, Tom Marquand, and last of all, Typewriter for Oisin Murphy. So it's Coulter on the descent, has the advantage, and that advantage remaining a length. And you'll see the pace does increase just naturally here because they run downhill to Swindley Bottom. At the moment, all of the riders still sitting quietly as Coulter at 35 miles an hour makes the descent towards the lowest part of the racecourse, and then the climb uphill will begin. Dawn Rising racing in second place. In third is First Emperor. Le Grand Vizier is in fourth. Racing in fifth place, Estacas, Stratum, Run for Oscar, and still the last two, Falcon 8. Last of all is Typewriter. So turning at the far end of the racecourse, the final mile, Queen Alexandra Stakes and the conclusion of Royal Ascot 2023. And Coulter leads the climb first from Dawn Rising in second place. First Emperor in third, then Le Grand Vizier. They now pass the 7. Estacas is in fifth place, and Estacas is just ahead of Stratum, Run for Oscar. Falcon 8, still at the back is Typewriter. First signs that we're just beginning to increase the tempo as they make their way past the 6. The jockey's hands just getting a little bit more active on their reins. You can see Coulter just beginning to push along. Dawn Rising will have few excuses from there, sat in second place. First Emperor in third, Le Grand Vizier in fourth, and those who are on these out-and-out stayers will just be trying to improve their positions, because sprinting's not normally their forte. And out in the lead, it is Coulter with Dawn Rising pushed along in second place. First Emperor is in third. Le Grand Vizier is in fourth. Then Stratum is happy hunting ground. On the outside of Estacas, as they make the bend, it's Coulter who has the lead. Dawn Rising is now only about a neck or so away as they make the bend. Le Grand Vizier still travels okay on the outside of First Emperor. Stratum beginning to peel out, and then Estacas. So heads a turn for home in the Queen Alexandra, and battle is now joined. Dawn Rising is the first to commit. Le Grand Vizier travelling up strongly. Slipping through on the inside is Typewriter, who's got a really nice run up the inside under Oisin Murphy as they make their way with a furlong and a half to go. Dawn Rising in the centre, Typewriter over on the far side, Len Le Grand Vizier, Stratum and Estacas running a mighty race as they enter the final furlong. It is Dawn Rising who has the lead. He's seen off Typewriter, but Le Grand Vizier is the last challenger on the outside. Dawn Rising behind the Dripel, Le Grand Vizier as they go for the line, and it's Dawn Rising who wins the Queen Alexandra. For the champions of the week, Ryan Moore, and Joseph O'Brien trains another winner here. Racing in second place, the Grand Vizier. Typewriter was just about holding on for one of those minor honours. Run for Oscar rattled home late when it was all over. It did turn into a little bit of a sprint. Dawn Rising was in the perfect spot for Ryan Moore, his 6th winner of the week, and another winner on the week for Joseph O'Brien, who came here this week with just one Royal Ascot winner and ends with several more. Dawn Rising repels Le Grand Vizier, who travelled up really strongly for Richard Kingscote. And in third place, it is Run for Oscar, who has sneaked through on the inside. He may have been the one that was most inconvenienced by the way that race was run. He was well back to quite late. Typewriter was in fourth place. Estacas ran a really good race in fifth. He was any price you like. But as we've learned this Royal Ascot, sometimes that hasn't mattered. But it was Dawn Rising, JP McManus colours, wins the last.
And finally, one for the punters today. Well back, Dawn Rising, all the way down to 2-1. And how appropriate that Ryan Moore, the champion jockey at Royal Ascot, for the 10th time, goes out on a winner.
Very appropriate, Ed, you're right, and what a ride this was, and a very willing partner in Dawn Rising. I thought he was going to get caught by the Grand Vizier, but Dawn Rising kept finding and finding and finding. Ryan Moore was really positive. He was off the bridle, turning in for home, and he certainly stayed well. When we watch this back, Run for Oscar, oh my word, he was stop and stop and stop the whole straight.
He's on the far side there, isn't he, in the noseband?
Typewriter has zipped through that inside, hasn't he, and looks to serve it up to the eventual winner, but his run just peters out a bit. And the Grand Vizier, who is a super old horse, isn't he? I think he ran earlier in the week.
He did.
He won this in 2019 as well. He's a wonderful old servant, but JP McManus, Joseph and Ryan.
Well, I know Ryan doesn't really mind superlatives, but that was an outstanding ride, Ryan. The way it unfolded, I know you smirk, but you were in a really good position, and I love the way the horse responded for you late on.
Yeah, look, Joseph obviously had him prepared beautifully for today. He's been jumping, he's won graded race over hurdles there in the winter. Had a nice run at Leopardstown, and he put himself in a nice spot, and I just gradually built along. It's nice to finish the week with a winner. You can go on in there.
You can go in now. Just a brief word about when Grand Vizier came to challenge you. Was you always confident you'd hold on?
hadn't really asked him for everything, and he was always finding plenty. You know, Joyce's horses aren't going to stop.
Ryan, obviously today you're crowned the top jockey at Ascot, but as you well know, Frankie Dettori has ridden in his last Royal Ascot race, and an opportunity for you as one of his biggest rivals and someone that shared the weighing room with him here at the Royal meeting to perhaps give us your thoughts on the Italian maestro.
Yeah, look, it's hard to say. I'll miss him. He's still here for a bit longer yet, so look, I remember Frankie riding for my grandfather when I was small, and the reality is he's the most beautiful rider you ever seen. He's built. If you're going to build a jockey, that's how you build one, and he's unbelievable talent, and he's a tough boy as well. You know, he's always wanted to be at the top and stay at the top for, I think, 35 years. That takes a lot. That's not easy.
Well, not bad from you today, Ryan. Indeed, this week. Congratulations on being champion jockey at Royal Ascot once again.
Yeah, 6 wasn't enough.
Well, that was class from Ryan Moore. Really good tribute to Frankie Dettori. But the truth is, this week, I mean, at the moment, you'd want Ryan Moore ahead of anybody on any ride. He's fair to say, Jason, all week he's been an absolute class apart.
Yeah, he's been super. We've been spoilt. We really have. You know, I mentioned about Jamie Spencer's double. You can talk about Neil Callan managing to ride a couple of winners at huge prices, and obviously the little tennis match between Ryan there and Frankie. And he'll miss that. He'll miss that competition.
He will. I haven't got it at my fingertips, but I'd say Ryan's rides on the whole have been relatively short price. You know, he is teaming up the majority of the time with Aidan O'Brien, or in this case with his son Joseph. That's not taking anything away from him, because he's very much earned that position. He's earned the right to be on some of the best horses in the best races, and he continuously repays the faith that people show in him by riding at the top level each race at a time.
I also think, when do we ever see Ryan Moore in the wrong position? He's so consistent. He's just there in the right posse every time.
I think I got a glimpse of JP McManus. Was he in the winner's enclosure? His Dawn Rising's just won, the 2-1 favourite. The Grand Vizier was second at 9-1. And Ruby, you know what it's like. Frankie's getting all the headlines. He was all over the papers this morning. But how good has Ryan Moore been this week?
Ryan Moore has been incredible this weekend, but Ryan Moore has been incredible for a long time. He's ridden all 35 races here at Royal Ascot. He's been in the first 3 on 18 at times. He's ridden 6 winners, but he just does so much right, so much of the time. Here he is sitting in second place on Dawn Rising, and whilst he's nudging him and his hands are moving from his nip to his knee to his hip, or back up off this horse's back, he's not he's only rowing on him. He's not winding him up. He's dictating things in front. Now, for his winners, there's also losers, and Jim Crowley will probably kick himself when he goes home. He drifts off the bend. Oisin Murphy shoots down his inside, and then Run for Oscar has nowhere to go, all dressed up, and has to go back and wait to get behind Oisin to eventually slip through and come with his run. But as I said, Ryan Moore in front. It's his fitness, his commitment, his rhythm. As Megan said, how often do you see him in the wrong place? I can't think of any race this week where he was in the wrong place. He is, I know he says if you're a picture postcard jockey would be Frankie Dettori. Picture postcard jockey to me would be Ryan Moore.
Yeah, well said, Ruby. Nice messages. Dominic King, who loves his racing, writes mainly about football in the Daily Mail, says Ryan Moore this week has been like watching Kevin De Bruyne play football for Man City. I imagine that's in the sense he just makes brilliance look so easy.
Yeah, and you know, when you mentioned about the tempo of the races, so Ryan's clock must be so good. Obviously, confidence comes with riding in those big races all the time, but you have to be so good to get to that position, and being able to take a different plan, ride a different race. You know, if something doesn't go right, well, look, you know, Vauban, we could talk about him, and he's probably going to get a 11, 13 pound rise for his win the other day. But to get out of trouble and win the race early and then go and commit.
JP
was talking about him, yeah.
JP is here. As is AP, JP and AP. Best and the best, and the best of the best. And wasn't it great to see Dad involved as well? Aidan and Joseph and Donica have just had a serious week. And Aidan's part of the debrief.
And AP JP has mentioned about those trainers. You know, you talked about a John and Thady Gosden, you know, what a week they've had. But Aidan, it wouldn't matter, all right? You know, he's at Ballydoyle and it's the best setup or one of in the world globally, probably the best. But you stick him in a field, he'd win.
I wonder how much the three trainers talk. You know, you've got father and two sons who now train. Are they continuously in discussion about, oh, I'm going to run this one there, or no, I think you should do that there? I wonder, because Aidan must have such wealth of information to dip into, but the boys doing so well in their own right.
They'd be fools if they couldn't have learnt off their dad, but I'd say he'd keep it, you know, plenty of cards close to his chest as well. I don't think he wants to give them all the tricks in the book.
Highlights of the week, team. We've heard Francesca's. What about you, Jason?
I'll go back, you know, the two lads who rode huge priced winners, you know, double for Neil Callan. I think Jamie Spencer, though, if you've got a handful of rides and you ride a 50 to 1 shot, Witch Hunter, last, middle, thank you very much, late in the day, and you go out and you win the big one this afternoon on an 80 to 1 shot, that takes some doing.
I think I know what yours might be.
I kind of have two, though.
Okay.
Obviously, it's natural for me to have absolutely loved King of Steel. That was really special for so many reasons. But I also love Shaquille in the Commonwealth Cup because more than anything, you know, the Camacho team, they're smaller, and for them to have a Group 1 winner, a homebred horse, that was incredible.
And that was a great ride also for Machine, because first time on the horse.
They're the two stars of the week, really, in the saddle. Ryan and Frankie. Ryan, the man on the left, triumphant as the champion. Frankie will shortly be getting a presentation from Royal Ascot, and Sir Francis Brooke, the chairman, on the right there, and his wife Catherine will be in control of that presentation. You'd love to listen to a conversation between these two greats.
Ryan was saying there as he came back in with Rishi, had to prod him to start talking about Frankie as a rider. Prior to that, even he doesn't really want to let go a little bit. He said, we've still got him for a bit yet. Still going to be there, still in there pitching.
When you talk about highlights of the week, Meg, I think you're absolutely right with Shaquille. I thought that was fabulous for Steve Brown and Julie Camacho. And I've loved that this week. Mick Appleby having a winner. The love being shared. Yes, it's good to see the powerhouses, but Godolphin haven't had a single winner all week, which has opened the door. Yes, there's been a lot of Cornwall winners, but there's also been a lot of the smaller operations in the limelight.
There has been, and that's amazing. You know, we love when syndicates win. We love when the smaller trainers and owners get victories as well, and we've had, like you say, a bit of everything. I wonder if Ryan Moore was saying to Frankie, listen, you've got, you know, 81 on the board now. I'm overtaking you soon. Don't you worry.
And as we see the presentation, there is Catherine Dettori, who was in the royal procession. Frankie kept his hands down. Wasn't that fascinating? With all the cheers he couldn't respond to. And JP and the team, Sir Anthony on the left, winning the Queen Alexandra, denying Stratum a third win in the race. And as you say, Meg, run for Oscar, so eye-catching, so unlucky. There must be a big prize again to be had with him towards the end of the season. And then it'll be his turn again. He was keeping the emotions in check, wasn't he, Jason?
It was bubbling under, trust me. And as he said, he's worked incredibly hard this week. Was a slow start, a stumbling start, wasn't it? But it certainly picked up in the middle.
I think when he goes up in a minute, that is going to be when he really takes it in and realises. And I think that's when the emotion could well, I know he says he's tired, but I think that could well just catch up with him.
I think that's a few minutes away, in truth, because I want this race to get their proper reception. And then Frankie's going to get a weight cloth. He's going to get a Nebuchadnezzar of champagne, the only one left, I believe, in the country. That's 20 bottles in a Nebuchadnezzar, 15 litres. I just hope he doesn't spray that around the race cars. Here's Ryan Moore, champion jockey for a 10th time at the Royal Meeting. Congratulations, Ryan. You have been sensational. He won't mind not being in the headlines, will he?
No, not at all. He's quite happy to just go on, keep his head down and be spectacular. Yeah, you're right. It's like watching De Bruyne in front of goal, wasn't it, throughout the week? Yeah, he shot and he didn't miss.
The show rolls on to the Sunday series tomorrow. Ollie in charge with the team. Racing never stops, folks. From there we go to Newcastle for the Northumberland Plate. From there we go to the Eclipse. And his farewell tour will continue, but this is the place that means most to him.